Hello everybody, I think many people have seen the Kinder Country bar like this in the store. Let's open it up. It looks like just some kind of small chocolate. You need to cut into it and look inside. So, milk chocolate is on the outside. Inside there is a dense white filling and crispy cereal. I wonder what it tastes like. A cool candy bar with crispy little additions. So today we will cook the exact same thing, only 1,000 times bigger. Let's go. The most important thing is to make a high quality mold, and our dad's gonna help us out with that. We wrap a plywood sheet and fix it with adhesive tape. The parchment should be well stretched so that there are no folds. The bottom is ready. Now we are armed with a screwdriver and corners. We fasten them to the plywood. Now you need to cut the plywood for the walls with an electric jigsaw. We also wrap them in parchment and put them in their places. We cut the ceiling skirt board at 45 degrees and join them inside our mold. In the middle, a metal corner should pass along the entire shape. You also need to cut the corner into small pieces. We assemble our form as a constructor. Now you just need to fix all of this with the help of thermal glue, so that later, at the most crucial moment, none of this seeps out. At this point, the form is completely ready. And we will buy the food products to make up our Kinder Country. So, milk chocolate, we bought 30 kilograms. Sugar, 13 kilograms. Powdered milk, we bought 2 whole bags of 25 kilograms. Palm oil, a 20 kilogram box. It also consists of crispy cereal, namely Air Wheat, Air Rice, Air Barley, and Air Buckwheat. We couldn't find this though, so we'll make it ourselves from ordinary buckwheat. It's pretty simple. So, pour 1 kilogram of buckwheat into a saucepan. Pour in 2 liters of water. And put it on to cook until all the water evaporates. Done. We remove it from the stove and scatter it onto 4 baking sheets. We distribute it with a spatula so that there is a layer of the same thickness everywhere. Done. We push the baking sheets into the oven. Set to only 50 degrees in the convection mode. We need to wait 5 hours, and then you can take it out. We're left with completely dry boiled buckwheat. Now for the last step. To do this, we will prepare a deep fryer. You're going to need to heat the oil to more than 200 degrees, and now we throw our buckwheat into it. It starts to explode and pop like popcorn. Give this video a like if you didn't know that you can make popcorn from buckwheat. We lift the sieve and shake off all the excess oil. There you go, popped buckwheat onto the paper towels. And we repeat this many more times. Now we have all the airy cereals we need. Next ingredient we're going to need is animal fat. We grab some butter. Soy lecithin was also bought. And the last one is vanilla. We will use natural vanilla pods. And all of this will go into our Kinder Country. Chocolate is first in line. We open up a box. And pour 10 kilograms of milk chocolate into the Marmite. Periodically mix it until it all completely melts. Done. We take our form, and first of all we will smear all the joints with hot chocolate, so that then the bulk of the chocolate does not flow into them. Now we pour in the remaining chocolate. and evenly distributed according to the shape. It's set now. Now inside the mold, we put another wall wrapped with food wrap. They will not allow the white filling to reach the main walls, and there will be room for chocolate. We fix them in with clamps. We take palm oil out of the box. Using a machete, we cut this briquette in half and put it into pots. We got some butter. We open them up. And 2 packages into each pan. We put it on the stove and heat it up. Open up some sugar and pour it into the melted butter. We thought that the sugar would dissolve the worm oil, but this didn't happen. Well, that's alright. We take 2 huge basins, open up some bags of powdered milk, and pour in 25 kilograms into each basin. Now we need some vanilla. We take the pads out of the bag. High quality vanilla must be oily. So we cut them lengthwise and scrape the seeds with a knife. This is the most valuable and fragrant part. We dump it into a bowl and continue to get the seeds. We scatter them evenly, but do not throw out the shells because they're also very fragrant. So we send them into the dryer. We set it for 70 degrees and turn it on. We will dry them for 5 hours. Cut them into short pieces. And send them into the coffee grinder. Here they will turn into a powder. Done. The vanilla powder is also scattered into the basins. Here we also pour melted palm oil with sugar. And now all this needs to be mixed with a huge mixer. We're left with a mass similar to cottage cheese. So we mix 2 basins. Now we need a mélange and turn it on. We collect this mass with a saucepan and pour it into the mélange. Now we need soy lecithin. It'll help mix the products at the molecular level and make them thinner. 30 minutes later, the mass has become homogeneous. Turn off the mélange and pour the contents into the mold. Even with the addition of soy lecithin, the mass turned out to be really thick. Now we need to add some airy cereals. For this batch, we use Air wheat, we press it into the white mass and make a second batch of the filling. And to make it even thinner, we melt a little bit of palm oil and pour it into the Mellinger. Knead for another 30 minutes. And pour it into the mold. This time the master nut to be what you need. And we'll add in some air buckwheat. Mix it with the filling. So, our third filling. Add some airy rice into it. And mix it in too. To the fourth filling, add the exploded barley. We continue to fill the form in the same way. Now we wait for the solidification of the white mass. We remove the clamps, unscrew the screws, and remove all the walls. We're left with an even layer of filling. Now we return only the outer walls back, and fix them in place. We have an even cavity for the chocolate layer. Therefore, it's time to open up the milk chocolate and set it into the marmite. But this time, the chocolate needs to be more liquidy, so we add more oil and mix it all well with the chocolate. Now that's right, it's done. We scoop the chocolate into a cup and fill the walls of our giant Kinder Country. The chocolate was enough to fill all the walls, and even the thin layer of the bottom. So we need it thicker, so we'll melt some more chocolate. Pour it out into the middle of the mold. And use a wide spatula to level it out. Now we just need to wait until the chocolate sets. Done. In order to get the Kinder Country out of the mold, put on some plywood and fix it with the corners. Now we need elevations, to which we carefully turn our shape. That's it, you can take everything apart. During disassembly, we slightly damaged the bar. Therefore, you're going to have to fix it up with some hot chocolate. Just cover up all the gaps. On each cube of the original Kinder chocolate, there is such a spike. To repeat it, we will make a stencil. We cut it out with the jigsaw from thin fiberboard. And after 3 hours, it's done. We apply it to the cube. In scratching, we outline the stencil first from the outside, And then the inside. Done. So you need to do this 9 more times. Now 1,000 times enlarged copy of our Kinder Country is ready. In my opinion, it turned out practically one and the same. Let's cut out a piece. Hey there, everybody. Surely everyone knows what a Kinder milk slice is, right? Today, we decided to make one on a truly unimaginable scale. But first, let's open it up and see what it's made of. Here we see 2 chocolate biscuits and a bunch of cream. It's obviously very tasty, but the cream is a little chemically. Let's go to the store. We decided to split the purchase up into 2 stages. Today, we're doing the first. We'll buy all the groceries we need to make huge biscuits. The first thing we need is chicken eggs, as many as 840 of them. The next thing we'll need is sugar. This will take up to 30 kilograms. 11 kilograms of cocoa powder. 2 kilograms of baking powder. 25 kilograms of flour. 13 liters of oil. With all this, we're headed to the checkout. First purchase cost us $245. Now we'll cook the biscuits in our huge oven. But we need to preheat it so it has time to warm up. Now we open up the boxes of eggs. We take out 2 trays and put them on the lower part of the table. We need 420 eggs for 1 batch. We put 2 containers on the table, one smaller, the other bigger. Now we take the eggs and separate the yolks from the whites. It took us about 1.5 hours to separate all the eggs. Done. We set the egg whites aside for now. We take the sugar, open it, and pour 15 kilograms into the yolks. Now, using a cement mixer, we beat the yolks into the sugar until the whole mixture turns white. Now we take 6 liters of oil, open it, and fill her up. If we use any less, our biscuit just won't hold its shape the way we need it to. Then we mix well. Ready for our next step. We need 5.5 kilograms of cocoa powder. We open it and pour it out. And now we mix. It takes another 20 minutes or so to mix it all up, and we're left with a very thick dough. Now, we need to carefully pour in 6.5 liters of boiling water. We'll mix this in so that the dough thins out a bit. Done. Now we need flour. We'll start by pouring in the first 5.5 kilograms. And mix it up. Then we'll add another 7.5 kilograms. Now we add in another kilogram of baking powder. And we get a nice, even dough. Our pot is filled to the brim, so we'll take a big wash basin and move our dough into it. Now let's take our egg whites and pour some of them into another saucepan. We tried beating them with our industrial mixer, but it didn't work out. I guess it's pretty impossible to beat that many egg whites into a dense mixture. So we decided to use a self-mixer that does everything itself. Let's pour a little bit of the egg whites into each of them. And turn it on. The process has started. After about 5 minutes, we get this foam. That means it's time to add sugar. We'll mix this for another 2 minutes, and then we can move these whipped egg whites into the chocolate dough. Now let's carefully mix it with a spatula so that none of the air bubbles come out of the whipped mixture. We're going to load in our next portion of egg whites. Move it back to the bowl and mix. As a result, you're going to have a really lush dough. With the second half already in the basin, we do the same thing. Now our biscuit dough is ready. But what do we bake it in? We got help from a friend in a workshop. They drafted up a drawing on a computer, which sends the blueprint to a huge machine that uses a laser to cut out the desired piece of sheet metal. We take our piece of metal from the machine and cut out the places for bends with a grinder. Now we bend the edges until we get a box shape formed. Then all the seams are welded together, and we're left with a giant baking sheet. Now we pour oil all over it and smear it around with a brush. We take out some parchment and cover the baking sheet with it. Thanks to the oil, our parchment will stick well to the sheet. So we cover the whole thing. Done. Now we pour out dough onto it and level it out. Done. We transfer the baking sheet into the oven and push it in. We'll bake this for 4 hours at 180 degrees. Then we turn off the oven and leave the biscuit in there until morning, so it has time to set and thicken. The next morning, we take it out. It's risen a little and completely baked. Now we need to make sure the tender part of the biscuit is at the top. We figured out the best way to do it is by applying plywood to the top and 2 planks to the sides. We'll fix these together tightly with clamps. We want to remove the baking sheet for now, so we put another piece of plywood on the table with 4 bricks on it and turn the whole thing over. We remove the clamps and gently lift off the baking sheet. We end up with a beautiful biscuit that weighs as much as 50 kilograms. And it only took 2 days to prepare it. We'll set it aside for now. Now we need to knead the dough for another identical biscuit. Load it all into the oven, close the doors, and the next morning we have another biscuit. just as beautiful as the first one. It's time to go pick up the groceries to make the cream. The first thing we need is a lot of condensed milk. 6 2-liter packages of milk, an unrealistic amount of Amish cheese, 80 kilograms. We'll need agar-agar, wheat chick 200 packages, 2 kilograms of vanilla sugar, 3 5-liter jugs of water. We take all this to the checkout and bag it all up. Our second check came out to $506. We put the Amish cheese that we bought onto the table and open them up. We had 80 kilograms of Amish cheese. All this needs to be ground up, and preferably quickly. We remove the front plate from the mixer and attach the meat grinder to it, and the saucer on top. We open another plate and attach the blender. We take a package of cheese, open it, and pour part of it into the blender and the other part into the meat grinder. We close the blender and put a saucepan below the grinder and turn on the mixer. While we are pushing the cheese through the meat grinder, the blender is taking care of everything on its own. The only help it needs is to periodically move out the cheese curds. We ground it all using 6 hands until the cheese runs out. 3 hours later, we have a whole pan of this cheesy mass. We take the tub of water and move the cheese mass into it. We open the vanilla sugar and pour it in. Now we just need the condensed milk. We open a bottle and pour the whole thing into the mixture. We made sure to buy extra, so there's a lot left. Now we use the industrial mixer to mix the cheese with the milk. We're left with a creamy mass. We take 3 jugs with water in a saucepan. Open the water and pour it out. Now we take agar-agar, open it, and pour all 200 packets into the water. For now, just mix the agar-agar and leave to soak for 30 minutes. We cut off part of the roll of industrial foil with a grinder and wrap it around the bottom biscuit in a circle. We fix all this together with tape. And to keep it all even tighter, we will also attach the boards on the sides with the same adhesive tape. It turned out to be such a good form for filling the cream that it doesn't spread. Put a saucepan with water and agar-agar on the stove. Boil for 2 minutes and pour in hot milk. Mix well. This liquid will make the cheesy mass harden, and that way it won't be crushed under the weight of the second biscuit. Pour half into one basin and mix well. Now the second half. While the filling has not started to thicken, we quickly transfer it to the biscuits. Level the filling and leave it to cool overnight. The next morning, the cream is hardened. We remove the foil framework. We had a very tall layer of cream turn out. Finally, the big moment. All that remains is to put the second biscuit on the cream. Done. We finally made a Kinder Milk slice. All it took was 6 days. After calculating the weight of the groceries we bought, we found out that our huge dessert weighs as much as 210 kilograms and costs $766. Let's cut off a piece. This is the type of huge chunk that we're going to ship off to all of our friends and relatives. Look at what a huge sponge cake turned out inside. I put the cream on a piece of sponge cake, covered it with a second one, and now let's try it. The biscuit is almost exactly the same as the original, but the cream is different. It's so natural, made of cottage cheese and condensed milk, and in the original slice, a confusing mass with all sorts of thickeners. It was probably the longest and most difficult project we've had in recent times, and you have no idea how much work has been done behind the scenes. Calculations, testing different sponge cake recipes, cream. Well, if you want me to cook something else that's large scale, on the same level as this, then like the video. As soon as we get 500,000 likes, we'll shoot a new giant meal. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and share this video with your friends. Bye everybody!